Hey guys, tonight, we're going somewhere high above the clouds right before everything breaks apart. The story starts at 32,000 feet over the Western Ghats and ends in a jungle no map seems to cover anymore. It's about flight survival and something else. You probably won't survive this, but let's not get ahead of ourselves. So before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. And don't forget to comment where you're watching from and what time it is where you are. I love seeing the global bedtime roll call. Now dim the lights, maybe turn on a fan for that soft background hum, and let's ease into tonight's journey together. It starts like this. You were on Flight 702, Delhi to Trivandrum. A red-eye. Half the passengers were asleep before takeoff. You weren't. You'd always been a nervous flyer, even ordered a whiskey, which you never do. Seat 14A. Window. You still remember the exact frost patterns on the glass before it cracked. Not shattered, cracked. A single line that crawled like a vein across the surface, and then everything dropped. Screams, oxygen masks, the world flipping inside out. And then silence. Not impact, silence. You woke up alone. In jungle. At dusk. Shirt torn, leg scraped but alive. You screamed. Called out. Nothing. No wreckage. No bodies. Only a soft humming. Like chanting, but too low, too slow. And that's when you saw the others. Standing. Not moving. Faces turned toward you. Not blinking. You should have run. Run. But you didn't. You just stared. Because they looked familiar. They looked like the people from your flight. But none of them were breathing. You don't move. Neither do they. A row of passengers still in their travel clothes. Some in neck pillows, some barefoot from the flight. A woman still holding her boarding pass like she's waiting to be scanned. You recognize them. The teenage boy who'd been watching a movie. The elderly couple from across the aisle. The man with the Bluetooth headset who never stopped talking until the turbulence hit. They stand among the trees like mannequins misplaced by a careless god. You want to scream, but the jungle around you won't let you. It's too quiet. Not a bird, not a breeze. Just that low humming, like 1,000 throats buried under the dirt, vibrating in harmony. Then they turn. All of them, at once, not with the grace of people, but like something rewinding tape. Their heads snap, bodies pivot stiffly, and their eyes empty. Not glossed over. Just absent. Like someone wiped them clean. You run, not because you know where you're going, but because not running feels like agreeing to something. You trip, you get up, you keep moving. Eventually, you reach a clearing. The wreckage is there, twisted metal. A wing embedded in the mud. A blackened trail of fuel and fire like a wound slashed across the jungle. You rush toward it, calling for help. That's when you see yourself, lying there, burned, bloody, still buckled in. Seat 14A, your face turned just slightly upward. Mouth open like it's trying to say your name. You step back. Trip again. Your hand lands on something soft fabric. A flight attendant's scarf, still warm. Then you hear the humming behind you. Closer now. And you turn to find the not quite passengers have followed. But something's changed. They're smiling. Only not at you. They're smiling like someone who's been told a secret. One they've finally understood. Historians still argue whether ancient Indian funeral rituals involving air burials, sky burials, were symbolic or literal. Some say souls become birds. Others say they become the wind. But this feels like neither. This feels like you were meant to go down with the plane. And now the jungle is trying to correct the mistake. You stumble backward into a tangle of undergrowth hands, scraped raw vision swimming with disbelief. The jungle doesn't feel alive. It feels aware. You crawl toward the fuselage, that burning shell of your once solid world, and press your hand to the metal. It hisses beneath your skin, not from heat, but from something colder, like the steel remembers where it should have buried you. Inside the wreck, shadows move. You whisper your own name just to hear it aloud, but it doesn't sound right anymore. The air behind you shifts. Footsteps. No. Too light. More like sliding. You spin and face yourself. Not the charred body. This you is standing, breathing, wearing your clothes down to the whiskey stain on your collar. Only the face is off. Not disfigured. Not grotesque. Just not quite yours. Like someone painted your memory on too thick glass and let it dry wrong. I stayed, it says. The voice is yours too, but heavier. Like it's been speaking to trees instead of people. I stayed so you could leave. You shake your head. You want to run. But the vines have crept over your shoes, holding you there. You shouldn't have come back. You scream, but the jungle muffles it. Like sound doesn't work right here. Behind you, the other passengers begin humming again. Their mouths still closed, their teeth gritted. But the hum vibrates through the ground now like roots drumming a warning. I took your place, the other, you says. Then they smile, and that's when it hits you. You never survived the crash. You never left this place. Someone else did. Someone wearing your skin, walking through customs, hugging your mother, filing insurance claims, scrolling through photos of what could have been. You're the one who stayed behind. And now the jungle remembers. Historians still argue whether reincarnation is a cycle of rebirth or a cosmic error. Souls thrown back into the same shape until they get it right. But this feels like something crawling out of the cycle. Something wearing your past like a shroud. And it's already gone home. You're not sure how long you've been lying there. Time's soft here, like wet clay. You press into it and it leaves no mark. The other you has disappeared into the wreckage, or maybe into the forest itself. Maybe both are the same thing now. The jungle hum fades, but it never fully leaves. It's settled into your bones like radio static under your skin. You finally stand. Your legs feel too light, your chest too heavy. You walk, not toward help, not anymore. You're following something else now. Call it instinct, or maybe memory. But the trees seem to part for you, bending their branches just slightly, like they remember who you were supposed to be. You find a path, sort of, more like a seam in the world. A place where the vines pull away and the light leaks in wrong sideways, pale like sunrise through frost. You follow it, and then the air changes. It smells like hospital, antiseptic, bleach, and something else old blood microwaved meals regret. And there it is, a door. A real manufactured door, impossibly wedged between two trees like a misplaced set piece. You reach for the handle. It turns. You step through, and you're in a hospital corridor. Not a ruin. Not a dream. Fluorescent lights buzz overhead. A nurse passes by and doesn't see you. A cart wheels past with clean linens. You follow instinct again. Room 4. You don't remember the number, but your hands do. They push the door open. You're in a hospital bed. Your face is slack. Machines beep gently around you. A woman sits beside the bed holding your hand. Your mother. Her eyes are red. Her lips move in prayer. You try to speak, nothing happens. You try to touch her. She doesn't feel it, but your other you is there, leaning in the corner, watching. You whirl around. Why? They smile. Because someone had to go back. Why not me? Because you looked away first. Historians still argue whether near-death experiences are neurological echoes or spiritual crossings at you. You're stuck in the hallway between both. Neither dead. Turned. And the price for crossing twice is never being doyed again. You try to scream, but it comes out as breathless silence, a whisper made of fog. The hospital room doesn't flicker. It's steady, grounded, but you feel unreal in it. Like a sketch that's not quite finished. Your mother wipes your forehead in the bed. You watch your own chest rise and fall in a rhythm that doesn't match your pulse anymore. You press your hand to the wall. It doesn't stop you. Your fingers slide through plaster like it's steam, and for a moment you feel something on the other side. An echo, a memory, maybe a warning. The other you tilts their head. Still trying to go back, you stare. What happens if I do? Then I vanish, they say, smiling. Too widely. But so do the people who believe in me. You feel it then, the cost. Everyone who saw you survive the crash. Your family, the airline crew, the investigators, even the stranger on the bus who lent you a phone. If you take back your place, their memories would twist, their timelines ripple. Their belief in the world's rules fracture. So I stay here, you ask. They nod. Unless you want them to forget your name. Forget you ever existed. You press your palm into the floor. Cool, smooth, real, but not yours. And then something behind the bed twitches, not in the bed, behind it. A long shadow unspools like something waking up for the first time in years. It slithers toward you, not fast. Slow, inevitable. You try to back up, but the room stretches instead. The walls pull further away like elastic, and your feet don't touch the ground anymore. That's the thread keeper, your double says softly. It follows souls that got untied. The thread keeper isn't made of shadow. It's made of phrase. Snips of faces, whispers of names, hands that never quite form. It collects the ones who shouldn't exist, and you've become its jurisdiction. Historians still argue whether souls are linear or fractal. Some say they splinter like broken mirrors. But the thread keeper, it doesn't argue. It just retrieves. You run. But you already know. It always finds you. You lurch out of the hospital room, and it vanishes the moment you're through the door, replaced by corridor after corridor of doors that no longer lead anywhere. A rusted wheelchair rolls past by itself. The floor tiles warp under your feet like waterlogged cardboard. You can hear it behind you now. Not footsteps, not breathing, just threads dragging, brushing, catching on the corners of walls, and pulling loose things you never noticed, like the names of your childhood pets or the smell of your father's old coat. Gone. Unraveling. You duck into a stairwell. It's endless. The stairs descend in a spiral that doesn't obey gravity. As you move, the steps shift beneath your weight, like something breathing. You don't remember when you last blinked. You don't remember if you're hungry. You don't remember. Wait, what was your name? You freeze. The threadkeeper is closer. Its limbs, if you can call them that, graze the railing now. Your shadow begins to flicker in two different directions. One toward the exit and toward it. You scream not out of fear but desperation. And that's when the lights cut out. Not all at once, one by one in rhythm like a countdown. You fumble through the dark, hand-scraping stone until you find a door carved with strange looping symbols. Not letters. Knots. The kind used in Indian temple architecture. You vaguely recall a history documentary about Yantra's ritual diagrams to trap spirits. Historians still argue whether these patterns were map spells or something else entirely. You push through, and suddenly, you're back, in your childhood bedroom. The cheap laminate flooring, the glow-in-the-dark stars on the ceiling. Even the crumpled hoodie. You never return to your cousin. Everything's right. Except for one thing, the mirror. It's covered in condensation from the inside. And something behind the fog is writing, backwards, one finger at a time. You lean in to read it breath tight. I took your name. You can take mine. You stare at the message on the mirror, half expecting it to fade or drip away like steam. But it doesn't. The letters remain sharp, deliberate, etched in something that glistens a little too thickly to be water. Behind the fogged glass you catch movement. Not yours. Not your reflection. A figure pacing slowly. Matching your form, but not your motion. It stops, faces you, and smiles. It's not a wicked smile. It's worse. Familiar. Like the kind you wore in your school yearbook photo. Slightly crooked. Slightly nervous. But now twisted with ownership. You lunge for the mirror, but instead of cold glass, your fingers sink into something wet and warm. It resists like skin with no bone behind it. You recoil, gagging. Then the surface rumbles. The mirror doesn't shatter. It sighs. The figure on the other side raises its hands, palms flat against the glass, and mouths something. 3 words. You can't hear it, but somehow you understand. Let me out. Your bedroom flickers. Suddenly, it's not your room anymore. The walls are off-white with stains in the corners. There's no window. Just a ceiling fan that turns without making a sound. The posters on the wall, your childhood idols, are gone, replaced with framed photos of strangers. They all wear the same expression, polite disinterest like mannequins mid-blink. You whirl around. The door is gone. Only the mirror remains. A portal, a cage, a transaction. You whisper. What happens if I do? The figure leans closer. Its face ripples, flickering between dozens of versions of you. Laughing, crying, screaming, sleeping, all blinking at different speeds. You hear it again behind your ear, this time spoken aloud. Let me out. You step back, because now you understand. This is what the crash unlatched. Not a death, but a mirror door. A version of you that was supposed to die but didn't. And it wants to trade places. And it knows your name. You press your back to the wall. But there's nothing solid behind you anymore. Just a slow sinking sensation, like falling into molasses. The mirror hums, vibrating through your bones. And with each second you wait, the figure on the other side grows clearer. It's you. Exactly you. Same cowlick. Same freckle on the left cheek. Same scar on the chin. From that time you tried to ride your cousin's bike with no brakes. But the eyes, they're wrong. Too wide. Too still. Like glass ornaments watching the world crack from the inside. He doesn't blink. He doesn't move. But somehow he's closer. You blink. He presses his hand flat against the other side again. And this time, yours moves too. You don't mean to. Your hand lifts mirrors. The gesture fingers brushing the cold, slick surface. A faint sting shoots up your wrist, like a paper cut, like a thread pulling loose. You jerk back. The mirror smiles. You turn in a panic, searching the room for an exit, anything. But the fan above clicks once, then again, and begins to spin in reverse. The hum deepens. It's not air you hear anymore. It's breath, and it's not yours. Something about the smell in the room changes ozone and river mud. Like the air before lightning and the dirt under docks. Familiar now. From the crash. From the hospital. From the threaded one. You cover your ears. But that voice seeps through, gentle as silk. All doors open twice. You've already stepped through. You scream. I didn't ask for this. The mirror blinks. The other you tilts his head just slightly, like he's heard a funny idea. He lifts a hand and draws a line across his throat, then holds up a single finger. One chance, one exchange. He mouths your name again, and you can feel it tugged from your memory like a string caught on a nail. Sharp, bright, gone. The room starts collapsing inward, like it's being vacuumed into the mirror. You scramble forward, shouting, clawing at the door that isn't there anymore, while the figure watches you drown in a space that used to be yours. Then a sound, a knock, not from the mirror, from somewhere behind it. The knock comes again, measured, deliberate. 3 raps. Then elentas. You freeze. Not because you're afraid, though you are, but because something about the knock feels real. Not dream real, not echo from a memory real, but knuckles on wood real. Like someone's on the other side of a wall you didn't know existed. Behind the mirror, your reflection tilts its head toward the sound. It doesn't like being interrupted. The glass shivers. You whisper hello. Silence. Then a voice, not the one from the mirror, not the one from the crash, murmurs through the wall. It's soft, hoarse, unfamiliar. Don't let him through. You stumble backward. Who are you? But the voice doesn't answer. Instead, it starts. Tapping. Not random. Rhythmic. Like Morse code. Like footsteps. Like something kept time under there for years and never stopped counting. The mirror distorts your double warps stretches. His jaw slackens. His eyes melt downward into black hollows that suck in the room's remaining light. You scream. The room jerks like it's been shaken by invisible hands. Picture frames fall. Dust sprays upward. The fan rips loose from the ceiling and hovers, blades whirring like insect wings. Then a crack appears in the mirror. Small. Barely noticeable. But it spreads fast like a vein in ice. Your double slams his hands on the other side, mouth wide, jaw distending. The sound doesn't come through his lips. It erupts from inside your skull. Let me finish. The crack widens, behind the glass. It's not your room anymore. It's nothing. Black void. An ink-drenched sea. The only thing left is him. Mouth open too wide, arms reaching through the mirror like the glass is dissolving. You fall to your knees. The wall behind the mirror thuds once more. and now a second voice joins the first. This one is faint, feminine. It's not you he wants. It's your name. You open your mouth to ask what that means, but no sound comes out. Because your name, you can't remember it anymore. You scramble backward until your spine hits the opposite wall. The cold from the mirror is everywhere, now leaking into your bones, turning your breath shallow and brittle. The mirror has gone fully black, not the reflective kind of black, but the void kind. The absence of things kind. And in that void him, the figure. You, but not you. His arms stretch too far now, elbows bending, wrong fingers crackling like twigs scraping the inner edges of the glass. You try to scream, but your throat locks. Your brain empty. Your name gone. But your memories, he's flipping through them like a photo album. You feel it. The places you've lived. The scar on your knee from 3rd grade. That childhood friend who taught you how to whistle. It's all flickering behind his eyes. And each flicker, it vanishes from your mind right after. Stop, you whisper, barely a breath. He smiles. It's the only part of him that still looks like you. The rest is unraveling. From behind the wall, the female voice calls out again, stronger this time. Say the wrong name and he keeps it. Say no name at all and he enters. What does that mean? You lurch to your feet, eyes scanning for anything. Anything you can use. But the room's shifted again. The corners stretch too far, and the ceiling curves like a dome, now echoing with your unspoken thoughts. Then you remember something strange. On the plane right before it went down. Right before the scream and the light and the shuddering silence. You'd filled out a landing card. The customs form. You'd printed your name in capital letters, but the flight attendant had looked at it twice and said, "That's not right, that's his name." You hadn't known what she meant. Until now, the thing behind the mirror pushes a full hand through. The fingers ripple like liquid shadow fingertips, dragging across the real air in front of you, pulling a wet, cold breeze with them. And you know he's almost through. Your chest heaves. You need to say something. So you shout the first name that comes to mind. Not your own, his. And everything freezes. The room groans. It's not a metaphor. The room itself groans like old timber under pressure, like the walls are deciding whether or not to collapse in on you. Or maybe out. You just said his name. And now you realize you don't know how you knew it. It wasn't yours. It wasn't anyone's, really. It felt like it had always existed, just waiting for someone foolish or frightened enough to speak it aloud. And you were that someone. Behind the mirror, the creature you but flayed of all humanity recoils as if struck. Not in pain. In recognition. It smiles wider. Thank you. It says not with sound, but with memory. You hear the name echo in places in your brain that were locked until now. A door opens in the wall behind the mirror. But there's no wall there anymore, just wet black stone, curving down like a tunnel. Carved steps stretch downward into something so dark, your eyes try to refuse it. He doesn't step out. He waits, because now it's your turn to cross over. The mirror bends inward, convex pulling light. Breath time itself. The air thins. You clutch your temples. Your memories are scattering again. You try to grab one. Your mother's face. A birthday cake. A book you loved. Gone. You reach for another, the moment before the plane crash. And there it is. Not a crash. A landing. But not in India. Not on Earth. You remember the flight attendant smiling with too many teeth. You remember the other passengers not screaming, not panicking, but praying. In a language your tongue now knows, the creature is no longer a stranger. He's what stepped in when you survived. Historians still argue whether identity is an invention of the Enlightenment or a survival mechanism we developed somewhere in prehistory. But if you've learned anything, it's this: you didn't survive the crash. You were traded. The room begins to flood, but not with water, with voices, all saying your name, your real one. And now you have a choice. Step through and lose what's left of you, or stay knowing he'll keep trying again. You take one step back, then another. The mirror doesn't like that. The edges pulse, then ripple outward like oil on fire, flaring gold and black. You feel your knees lock like the air itself has hands gripping your joints. The shadows press forward thicker now, oozing across the floor in long, sinuous tongues. They're not chasing. They're inviting. Behind the mirror, he waits, tilts his head like he's amused. The expression is so familiar it churns your stomach. You've seen it in photos, in videos, in the bathroom mirror at 3 a.m., when you didn't recognize yourself for a moment too long. He lifts his hand and beckons. The fingers are yours, but thinner, hungrier. The voice, the woman's, whispers again, but this time it's closer. Don't answer again. He only needs you once. Your hand is shaking. You reach into your pocket instinctively, and your fingertips close around something you don't remember putting there. A boarding pass. It's damp. You pull it out. The ink is wrong. Letters smudged. Flight number blank. Passenger name his. Not yours. You blink and it changes, then changes back. You throw it at the mirror. It passes through. He catches it. The mirror solidifies, glossy now, and he presses the ticket flat against it from his side. Smiles. Then taps once, twice, right where your name should be. There's a low metallic ringing sound like a cathedral bell underwater. And then the door opens again. This time behind you. You spin. It's your closet. Only it's not. There's too much depth. A staircase spirals downward, narrow and impossible, carved into stone that shouldn't be behind drywall. Another passage. Another offer. You look back at the mirror. He's nodding, like this was always the plan. You breathe hard through your nose and step toward the open closet. You don't know why, but your body moves like it's remembering something. And then under your breath, like you've always known how it comes out. Not your name. His. Again. And the mirror shudders. Glass doesn't just fall, it retreats. The mirror implodes, not with a crash, but a shudder curling inward like smoke sucked into a vacuum. Shards fold into themselves and vanish midair. No cut, no scatter, just absence. He's gone, or at least the version of him that was watching. But you know better. That wasn't an escape. That was an exchange. The air behind you changes. The temperature slips again, warmer in the lungs, colder on the skin. A humidity that doesn't match any weather you've known. You turn slowly. The stairs still spiral downward in that impossible direction. You could swear they're moving slightly, coiling tighter like a waiting jaw. You whisper your own name, just to test it. The walls answer back, not in echo but in agreement. And for the first time since the crash, you understand he's not following you. You're following him, or rather, what you would have become if you'd answered that call. Scholars still debate whether labyrinths were built to trap or to protect what waited inside. But here now, you realize you're inside something older than fear. A place designed not to hold evil, but to prepare it. The stairs creak as you descend. Each step hums under your feet. A vibration, soft as breath, but constant. Below, faint light flickers like candle flame, though no flame could cast shadows like this. You reach a landing. It's a room stone-walled, domed, lined with mirrors. Each mirror shows you doing something you've never done, reading in languages you don't know, wearing clothes you've never seen, speaking to him, or maybe being him. Your own reflection is nowhere. You step forward. The mirror across the room ripples, and you see him again. He's older now. No coat, no smile, just waiting. He raises a hand and writes a word backward on the glass. It's your real name, the one you haven't remembered since the plane went down. You gasp, and behind you, the door slams shut. The sound is final, like a vault being sealed. You turn, but there's no door anymore. Just smooth stone. Not even a seam where the entry had been. The mirrors remain, still lit, still wrong. They hum in unison, low and dry, like the drone of something buried alive. You back into the center of the room, instinct, screaming now. You feel it. This is a chamber of choices, but not yours. His. Each mirror flickers. One shows you sitting calmly beside your mother who's alive again, younger. You're laughing together. It smells like ginger tea. Another shows you standing behind a podium, delivering a speech in a language you've never learned. A third, this one, shimmers darker. Shows you walking out of a house, the one that wasn't on any map. Behind you, the real you, your face peeling like wet paper, watches without eyes. You snap your head back toward the central mirror, the one with him in it. But now, it's just you, your face, only slightly wrong. Too long in the jaw, eyes glassy, too dark, like marbles dipped in ink. The reflection blinks slow, then smiles, not kindly. Patiently. You know what's next. There is no leaving. This was never about escape. This was the return. And in that moment you remember there were no survivors. The plane never landed. You didn't survive the crash. You never made it home. You were reconstructed. A copy. And he's the original. He wants back what was his. The reflection reaches out not through glass, but from inside your skull. You feel your hands twitch. You move without willing it, like a recording rewinding. You reach for your own face in the mirror, and he does the same, not mirrored, perfectly synced. And as your fingers touch the glass, it gives way like skin. Your fingers don't meet cold glass. They sink into something warm and wet, like breath, trapped in plastic. The mirror stretches, flexes. And then it swallows, not just your hand. It pulls your arm, your shoulder, your chest, and you don't resist. Because some deep dream logic part of you knows this has already happened. You step through, and suddenly you're outside. The world snaps into place. Afternoon sunlight, birds, the smell of pavement after light rain. You're standing in front of a house from familiar. Not yours, but it used to be. You think. Someone waves from the porch. It's you, but not exactly. You, the other you, is dressed differently. Lighter. Smiling. Talking to someone you don't recognize but feel like you should. A friend, a brother, a version of a life you didn't live. You try to step forward. Speak, but no sound comes. You're not really here. You're just the echo, the shadow that was left behind. And the worst part, they don't notice you, even when you scream, even when you run, even when you pound your fists against the air that holds you like glass. Eventually the sun sets. The scene fades. You're pulled backward not by force, but by gravity. Something ancient. Something inevitable. You return to the chamber. The mirrors are gone. Only stone, and dripping, and dark. Sometimes when people say they survived something unbelievable, what they really mean is they woke up in the version of life that was allowed to continue. But that doesn't mean the other one stopped. It just waits. It watches, and when you blink, sometimes it blinks back. Wind down 300 words. Now, you're safe again. Whatever reflection followed you here, it can't reach you under the blanket. The room is still. The fan hums gently. You're breathing. That's all that matters. Let the echo of the story soften. Let it stretch away like a long shadow at dusk. You're not on a plane. You're not in a mirror. You're not in that impossible chamber beneath the crash site. You're just here with the quiet. And maybe if you listen closely, you'll hear the silent smile. Drift off now. Whatever doors were opened, we've closed them again. Whatever followed, it's lost in the fog. You're safe. You're safe. You're safe. End of script. Sweet dreams.